Tensions between the U.S. and Russia continue to run high over recent events in Ukraine, including Russia's annexing of Crimea. U.S. officials say Russia has largely been the one stoking the tension, but did the Obama administration also make missteps along the way? The WSJ's William Mauldin raises the question in a piece in Monday's paper and joins us now. Hello, William. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thanks so much for having me, Ashby.
Appreciate it. Now tell us, in your piece, you sort of lay out some very interesting and provocative thoughts on ways that maybe the administration could have managed Russia a little bit different, especially during the 2008-2012 time period. Tell us a little bit about what you found and what you posit in the piece today.
That's right. Well, we talked to former and current administration officials, and what we found is that the Obama administration built its Russia policy around Dmitry Medvedev, who was president when they came into power. But really, Putin was prime minister at the time. He was the one holding the real power in Moscow. When they switched places, or actually in 2011, when Putin said he was going to return to the presidency, that's when some in the Obama administration realized that they may have bet their strategic capital on the wrong horse.
Gotcha. And so how were the attitudes or policies of President Medvedev different from those of Vladimir Putin?
Well, I'm glad you asked, Ashby. That's part of the problem. At the time, some people thought, well, Medvedev is just a puppet of Vladimir Putin, and thus, if we make agreements with Medvedev about something, we're essentially agreeing with Putin, even though he's prime minister and is not traveling as much outside of Russia. In retrospect, it looks like Medvedev was somewhat independent from Putin. He did want to do cooperation on things around the world that some in Putin's inner circle, some of the security services in Russia and other elites didn't like. So when Putin came to power, it was sort of out with that mildly reforming spirit and in with sort of a chill in relations. The problem is that the Obama administration didn't clearly react to that, or at least they didn't articulate a clear policy. And pretty soon we found ourselves canceling summits over the Edward Snowden affair and having very little influence with Russia when Ukraine fell apart in recent months.
Interesting stuff, William. Was there also a sense that when Putin came back into power in 2012, that the Obama administration didn't turn quickly enough, didn't recognize the differences between the two men quickly enough, and now it finds itself here in 2014 dealing with a country that it doesn't really understand or recognize? I mean, should they have sort of figured things out a little earlier?
Well, they knew what was going on. We've spoken to people close to Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, and this is an issue that may confront her if she runs for president. We've also spoken to other former officials and current officials. They say they knew what they were dealing with when Putin came back to power. It was very clear that he was going to be president for a really long time and lose some legitimacy. There were big protests in Moscow. The problem was, how did things change? And the administration kept up its reset, kept up its theory of we can walk and chew gum at the same time, which means they wanted to work with Russia cooperatively around the world while also putting pressure in areas of civil liberties and human rights. That just really didn't work anymore.
Complicated situation it's gotten itself into with the U.S. here. William Mauldin, thanks very much for being with us this morning.
Thank you, Ashby.